Hi, I'm Cheryl Brunette, and welcome back to part 3 of this two-color, two-fisted stranded knitting tutorial, working on the purl side. First of all, I recommend that you watch the 2 videos prior to this one so that you have a very good orientation going into this. And second, let me say that I prefer working two-color knitting in the round. I just do. I can always see it, what the pattern is, and it's easier for me because I'm not that strong a continental knitter, so I'm not so good at purling it. But there are some patterns, like many of Kay Facet's designs are designed so they're worked in the flat, and you make the sweaters in flat pieces and put them together. Or he even has a shawl that's worked in the flat, and you wouldn't want to work a shawl in the in the round and then try to steek that. So there are times when you need to have these skills, so let's go look at them. Here we are with the same chart that I used to show you how to do this on the knit side, and this is the same swatch that I was using. Remember that when you're working in the round, you're always on the knit side, so you read the chart from bottom to top, always from the right. So row 1, you read across, hop, come back, read row 2 from here. However, now that we're going to be going back and forth with knit and purl, you are going to read the chart differently. And in this case, I've completed the first repeat of that, the first up and down repeat of that, and I knit 2 pink rows, and now we're going to start a second repeat of that so that we sort of duplicate this whoops, here it goes like this one that we did before. This one was done in the round, this one was done back and forth. And I am on the first row, and it is a purl row. So you could even renumber these. Frequently, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but when you have a chart where you read from one side to the other, in this case, I would read 1 from here, because I'm going to be at that end to start, and then I would read 2 from this side, and then I would read 3 from this side. You don't have to put these numbers in, but it's helpful because if you have these numbers, then it tells you, gives you a head, whoops, I can't do 5 twice, I have to do 7. See, you can't talk and do this at the same time. And I mean, you could go ahead and erase the odd numbers on this side so that you knew exactly that. I mean, if you really wanted to keep yourself totally on the up and up. I love erasers. They're one of my favorite things in life. Okay, so, oops, bonk. So now we have it. I'm going to start reading row 1 from there. And when I read run 1 from this side, I had 3 pinks first. Now I'm going to start with 3 of those rose ones. Except first, I'm going to start with purling the 2 together at this end. And notice that they're pink just by themselves, but that's because I did 2 plain rows of pink, and I did not work that yarn all the way across. I didn't carry the rose-colored yarn. Okay, once again, I'm going to put my rose-colored one in my left hand and my pink in my right hand. And you know, there is a thing called color dominance when you're working on this kind of work, where if you always carry the background color in your right hand and the foreground color in your left hand, you will get a different pattern. If you go through a whole pattern repeat like that, let's say you have a pattern this tall and you use it like this. If you do the next pattern like this, but using the same color combinations, that this one's still the background and this one's still the foreground, you will see a difference. One, or maybe you won't, but most people do see a difference. So here we go. It's called color dominance. And here we are. I'm going to start row 1 right there with 3 rose color. So this is, whoops, this is an early morning shoot. You can tell neither my lips nor my fingers are entirely going yet. 1, 2, 3. This is something, you know, when I'm working continental, notice how close my finger is to the work on my right hand side. With my left hand side, I just am not trained. Even if I wrap that twice, I just am not as good at tightening it down there as I am with my right hand side. That's just an observation that I made in my own work, but I like to pass those on to you because frequently you'll see them in your own work. So this is where I'm not weaving it in, right? I'm just, look at that, it's loosened up already. I want to keep, if I want to keep that finger down close, there we go. See if I can do it this time. I double wrap my little finger. Then 1, 2, 3. So you're just purling 3 and knitting 3. I mean, purling 3 with the right hand, purling 3 with the left hand. Okay, so that's going to yield this for you, right? This is back and forth, and I showed you how to do this on the knit side. However, to get to this, where you're working back and forth, and you're catching or trapping the yarns, the floats, both on the purl side and the knit side. I've already shown you how to do it on the knit side, so let me show you how to do it on the, whoop! The ball of yarn just went screaming off the counter. Well, we'll just pull. I think it fell into my paper recycling. It's okay. So here we are. Let me double wrap that again. To wrap with, I'm going to start on the pink because that's the easiest. Just like it is. Okay. So when you're purling like this, it's very easy to catch it. See how I put that between the needles again? And then I just do that. Purl, and it's caught. As opposed to this one. See how that one is every other stitch. Now this one I find a little more challenging, but not impossible. You purl 1, and this is an every other stitch catch. I come around in that direction, around like that, bring this one back, and poop that through. And go ahead, and you have to tighten that up a little bit. There it is, it's caught. Again, this one's very easy. I'm going to put that under the needle. I'm going to put that in the cross of the needle and under the needle. And then I'm going to work my last 2 stitches together. And now I'm going to turn off the camera and work a whole knit row so that I can come back and do another purl row for you and show you a couple more times how to do this weaving in. Okay, here we are back. I worked an entire knit row. I came back and started this purl row already. I did my 2 yarns together on the end 2 stitches. And remember, now this is row 3, and I'm starting at this end because I'm on the purl side. I did 2 pinks, there they are, and then 3 roses, and now I'm on 3 pinks. The rest of the way across it'll just be 3 and 3. So let's go here. Once again, this is the easier way to do it, is to be working with the right hand yarn and trapping the left hand yarn. All you have to do is lay it between those 2 needles, take it off, put it under the needle so it's not between there, and it automatically catches. I have been known to switch yarns in my hands. Okay, this goes around that way, around that way, around that way, and you tighten it up, snug it up a little bit there, because otherwise it'll pop through to the other side. Let's do the easy one. 1, 2. It's very automatic actually. 3. 1, kind of quick in whipping that back. I think I'll try to be slower next time. Oops. There we go. 1, 2 in the cross, 3, and then the first one, the second one, yarns over here, wrap around that way, wrap around that way, bring this one back, which is kind of what you do on the knit side, and see how I'm pulling that stitch, pop it through, snug it a little bit, and that. And I should have one pink stitch left. Do I at this end? Indeed I do. Somehow that worked out. I knew it would. And then I just have to work these last 2 stitches together. And that's it. I've shown you how to work stranded knitting on the purl side, both by just letting it strand and by catching in. It's a little bit tacky looking, isn't it? Turn it around this way though. And let's look at this one. This is the one that was done that way. You can see that there is some, it does make some irregularity in the front of it. So, whereas this one, it's not woven in, it's a little bit difficult to keep it perfectly unseen. And this one is particularly tough for me working it back and forth because I have trouble holding it on my hand on the left hand side, but also because my purl is looser. I can see it. This was a purl row, there's a knit row, a purl row. I have to really consciously pull it tighter because in general, when I'm doing my regular knitting, my purl row is a little bit looser than my knit row, so I always pull it snug and then it looks fine. I've learned, you know, this is like automatic with my hands, but when I'm holding it continental style, I can't quite do that. So that would be something to watch for, is don't row out. It's called rowing out when you have one row that's tight and one row that's loose, and usually it's your purl row. Make sure that you try to tighten it a whole bunch. But still, if you want that nice woven effect on this side, that's what it is. If you pull it, you definitely can see it more. But after a couple of washings, I lightly steamed this. After a couple of washings, you probably would see it less and less. Again, there it is. Well, thanks for joining me for Walking on the Purl side. I, again, encourage you to get out some yarn and practice, practice, practice. It's ridiculous in our culture where we expect people to go to the yarn store, buy some expensive yarn and a pair of needles and make something instantly without just working on the skills with no ulterior motive other than playing to learn the skills. So make sure you come back for part 4, which will be a special K-facet design. It's poppies, and it will show you an interesting, well, it's an entirely interesting and different way to do things with color. Don't forget to go to CherylBrunette.com and sign up for my email list, because that's where you'll learn a whole bunch of stuff. That's where I pass on a whole lot of information. Thanks for joining me. Enjoy your knitting and be brave. It's just string and sticks after all. Bye. Hi. 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 I'm Cheryl Brunette, and today I don't know, it's been so long since I've been in front of a camera.